Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we've got my 3 A-class builds that I'm going to be using this week. Now, we're going to start off with a 4-wheel drive 1998 Subaru Impreza, the 22B, an absolute classic when it comes to the Subaru. So let's hop into the performance. Starting from right to left, we've got an engine swap. We've got a 2.5 litre F4-T engine, and we've left it all-wheel drive. So for aero and appearance, we've got the race rear wing and the race front bumper. Heading over to drivetrain, we've got a stock clutch, a race transmission, stock driveline and a race differential. Wheels, we've gone for 18-inch on the front, 18-inch on the rear, and I do believe these LTC 701s are the heaviest. Moving to tyres, we've got the race tyre compound with a max front tyre width and a max rear tyre width, both on 265mm. Over to platform and handling, we've got race brakes, race springs and dampers, front and rear race anti-roll bars, a race weight reduction, stock roll cage and an extra light ballast. Engine, camshaft and valves are stock. We've got a race displacement, stock pistons, stock flywheel and stock oil and cooling. And fuel and air, we've got a stock fuel and ignition, a race exhaust, and then a stock air filter, turbo and intercooler. So they're the parts installed on the Impreza. Now let's have a look at the tune itself. So heading into the tune, we get the tyre pressures. They're at 27.5 on the front and 28.0 on the rear. The gearing, I've opted for this gear ratio. Feel free to chop and change as you wish, pause it or take a screenshot. Alignment, we've got -1.3 front, -1.2 on the rear. Toe is 0 and 0 and a front caster at 7.0. Anti-roll bars, we've got 13.3 on the front and 16.3 on the rear. This just slows the turning down a bit but still gives it that extra rotation that we need. So springs, I've gone for 425.3 on the front and 350.0 on the rear, and the ride height is at 5.3 front and 5.5 on the rear. Feel free to drop this down to, I don't know, 4.3 or even to the minimum. Just crack on. I left it at this because I didn't see that much of a performance hindrance. Bump stiffness, we've got 3.7 on the front and 3.5 on the rear. Rebound is 8.3 on the front and the rebound for the rear is 8.2. Roll center, we've got a 5.9-inch roll center on the front and 6.7 on the rear. And big anti-dive and squat numbers here, we've got 75.9% on the front and 55.9 on the rear. Maxed out aeros, but feel free to drop this to maybe 200 if you want a bit more speed, but this seems alright to be honest. Braking balance and pressure, personal preference, but I've got 150 and 50. Differential, I've got the acceleration at 100, deceleration on 0 for the front. The rear is 100 and 0 as well. And the balance is at 84%. Feel free to knock this up or down depending on how much aggression or stability you want, but 84 seemed to be the happy medium for me. So that's the Subaru Impreza. Now let's hop on to the next build. Right, car number 2 is a fan favourite. Everybody uses it. The 1994 Ferrari F355 Berlinetta. It's been a staple in A-Class throughout the years. On this one, the old one, and many other Forzas as well. It's a really, really steady car to use. So let's hop into performance and go from right to left. We've got a stock engine, the 3.5 litre V8, stock drivetrain and stock aspiration. We have the rear wing and the front bumper all on race, and a stock rear bumper and hood. Drivetrain, we've got a stock clutch, race transmission, stock driveline and a race differential. Front rim size is on 20, the rear is on 21. And I've gone for the OZ F1 Deep, a really nice looking wheel. Tyre compound, I've gone for race compound with a stock front tyre width at 225 and the rear tyre width of 285mm on the rear. Seemed to work well, even though the rear is significantly greater. Platform and handling, we've got race brakes, race spring and dampers, front and rear race anti-roll bars, a race weight reduction, stock roll cage and no ballast. Engine, we've just got everything stock bar sport valves, and in fuel and air everything is stock as well bar the race exhaust. So with the parts installed, let's now hop into the tuning side. So tuning, we've got the tyre pressures at 26 on the front and 27 on the rear. These are the gears that I'm running. Feel free to screenshot, pause the video or just make your own, entirely up to you. Camber, I've got -1.7 front, -1.3 on the rear. Front and rear toes are at 0 and a front caster at 7.0. Anti-roll bars, the car was quite stable, so I just needed a bit more agility. So I've opted for 20.5 front anti-roll bar and 29.5 on the rear. Again, it just aids with that exit rotation that we need from these mid and rear engine cars. Springs, 375.6 pounds on the front and 450 pounds on the rear. This is at 3.9 inches front and 3.9 inches on the rear, so it is completely slammed. Bump stiffness, the front's at 3.5 and the rear is at 3.7. The rebound on the front, 7.6 and 8.3 on the rear. Roll center, 4.7 inches front and 5.9 on the rear. Moving to anti-geometry, we've got the anti-dive at 75% and the anti-squat at 70.1. Downforce, we've got max downforce front and rear. Braking balance is at 50, the pressure's at 150. The acceleration differential's at 40 and the deceleration is at 6%. This is probably my favourite car out of the three that I'm going to showcase. But let's now move on to car number 3. Car number 3 is the 1997 BMW M3. This is a powerhouse when it comes to A-Class. Really, really good looking car. So let's start again from conversions. Engine swap, we've still kept the 3.2 litre inline 6. Can't get rid of that bad boy. We've got a stock drivetrain. I put the first wide body kit, which is the Rocket Bunny one. I don't know if I can put that one on, but that one just looks meaner with the flared arches and naturally aspirated. Aero and appearance, we've put the race rear wing. We put that one on. You can put that one on if you want, but I've stuck that one on. Stock clutch with a race transmission, race driveline and race differential. Rim sizes are completely stock, but we do have these, the BBS RS Turbofan. I think they just look really nice on this car. Tyre compound, we've got race tyres with 245mm on the front and 305 on the rear. Big tyres on this car, lots of grip. Platform and handling, we've got the race brakes, race springs and dampers, front and rear race anti-roll bars and a race weight reduction. Stock roll cage and no ballasts. Engine, we've got sports cams just to give it a bit more top end. Stock valves, race displacement, pistons are stock. We've got a street flywheel and nothing on oil and cooling. And in the fuel and air, we've got a stock fuel and ignition with a race exhaust, stock filter and stock intake manifold. So that's the parts all installed on the Beamer. Let's stick the build on it now. So we've got 29 psi on the front and 29 psi on the rear. These are my gear in here. Alignment -1.6 front, -1.2 on the rear. Front and rear toes are at 0 and 0 and a front caster at 7.0. Anti-roll bars, again this car was super stable. I needed a bit more agility, so we've got 26.35 on the front and 30.33 on the rear. The springs, we've gone for 350.4 on the front and 387.9 on the rear. Ride height is slammed at 6.6 inches front and 6.6 inches on the rear. Damping, we've got 4.3 on the front and 4.4 on the rear, with a slightly stiffer front rebound on this one at 8.0 and the rear is at 7.7. Roll center height, we've got the front roll center at 6.3 and the rear at 6.3 and the anti-dives at 60.1 with the anti-squat only at 22.2%. Downforce, we've maxed out the downforce. It does have quite an aggressive turn at higher speeds, so if you do want to, just knock this front aero down maybe a few clicks to 125, 100, etc. and it still will grip, but 150 seems perfect for me and it was a really, really easy car to use. Braking balance and pressure, I've got mine at 50 and 150, change yours if you want. The differential is at 35% just to give it that extra bit of stability coming out of them slower corners, and deceleration is at 0. So they're the builds, boys. Hope you do enjoy them. Looking forward to hopefully catching some of you lot in the A-Class lobbies, but as always, take care of yourselves and stay tuned for more.